Monday, May 6th, has issued a high risk of severe weather, and it is confirmed that it is causing damage. Again, it's this little area right here. If you are in this area north of Parkin, Now, hello everybody, my name is Christian, welcome back to Skycast, and we have a lot to talk about, including both a return of severe weather in the tropics. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And for the day 3 on Saturday, we do have a severe weather risk that's kind of an uptick in severe weather than what we've been seeing. Day 1 and day 2 both feature low-end damaging wind isolated tornado threat. But as we do get into this day 3 risk, this is where a greater potential exists for damaging winds, hail, and potentially a few tornadoes. Now, as we are looking at the upper level winds, the 500 millibar winds, we can see that we do have this kind of trough activity, terrible arrow, but we do have this trough activity ongoing across the Rockies area, and that is what is fueling the severe weather for the low end severe weather marginal days for the next 2 days. But as we do get into portions of the 18th where we are watching that severe weather risk to increase, that slight risk, we can see that right over here we begin to have that jet stream dip across Montana and Wyoming. That severe weather risk is going to be driven by that, and as we continue to play this, that strengthens. We get a decent exit region, and right in here where I've highlighted this white area is where that greatest threat for severe weather looks to be. Now, if we are looking at the instability map on the NAM and we do continue to play this through, we do get a bit more intense instability across eastern Oklahoma and into western Arkansas. So that threat could sustain with the instability that's a little more elevated. We could see a supercell threat. This does look like to be a more line of storms, which would enhance a damaging wind potential. But if we do get 1 or 2 supercells, maybe a prefrontal supercell, we could see a tornado or 2 out of this. And instability is not insane, especially as we continue this through towards the afternoon and evening hours. That instability really begins to decrease across the state of Arkansas. But if we do kind of play this back, that instability reaches all the way up into Michigan, Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana. We could see some areas of maybe linear or isolated strong to severe storms pop up in that area, especially across the Indiana, Illinois, western Kentucky region. So as of right now, while this threat does not look too humongous, it's still something to keep an eye on. It goes to show second season is here. If you want to read the discussion, I will scroll through it. You can pause the video to read it right here. One thing to highlight that could affect the day is the storm mode. Once again, if you read this area right here, the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center is keeping an eye to see if it's either going to be a more amplified day or a less amplified day. If it's more amplified, it would be a more linear storm mode, which would pose a more damaging wind threat. If it's not, that would pose a more supercell risk or like a discrete mode, which would have a more tornado threat. So definitely something to be keeping an eye on. Have that severe weather plan and get ready with your family if you live in the area, just in case. Now I've swapped to the GFS model, and as we do play the GFS out, we can see that here's that trough right here across the central United States ejecting into the mid-Mississippi Valley. That's going to cause that severe weather risk for the 18th on Saturday. As we do continue towards Tuesday, though, and we do kind of look at this, we also have another area beginning to dip out of the jet stream, a new trough beginning to develop behind that, and I do believe that this could pose another severe weather risk towards the 20th to the 22nd. The GFS has kind of been a little wonky on the dates, but I do believe that this could potentially be another severe weather event a bit further east this time. Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, areas of that nature maybe could stretch back down into Arkansas. Like we're seeing with the severe weather threat on Saturday. But this jet stream really does strengthen, and as we get towards the 21st and the 22nd, this will continue on east. May see some severe weather across the coast. Definitely something just to keep an eye on. But this one has my eye a little bit more due to more moisture and instability. Could be a greater threat, especially with this development region, and I also live in this area, so definitely something to be keeping an eye on. 2 areas that we are watching, may see some more come down the line here soon. Now, I do also want to dive into the tropics a little bit and kind of point this out too. Right now, we do have a 7-day, 20% fairly low chance of development in the Caribbean, but this is the first area that we've seen in the Caribbean this year, which usually isn't too common. We usually have a few different storms, but this is the first one towards the middle of October. And we have not had a hurricane enter the Gulf yet. This could definitely be one that does curve off to the north. It usually does more in this area. A landmass does get impacted, so definitely something to be keeping an eye out for this to see what impacts may be felt. They're confident that this will form to be something, but as of right now, we don't have the confidence to say that this will be anytime soon. It's definitely something just to keep an eye on here. Not nothing to get worried about, but just to keep watching. Another area to watch too is south of Mexico. Right here, we have a 2-day 50%, 7-day 50% chance of development on this little area right here. If we do take a look at the spaghetti model, saw that this is really relatively going to maintain tropical storm status. May see a development into low-end hurricane, but I'm not too confident in that. I'd say this will remain tropical storm status as it continues off to the west. Not really any wild land impacts expected with this one either. So tropics are relatively quiet right now. Things just to keep an eye on to see how they develop. But not anything to be overly worried about right now. It's mainly we're starting to get that shift back into severe weather. So thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Christian. This is here on Skycast. You can follow me on X. Link is in the description for real-time updates. Have a great day. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.